feel the power? Can you feel the power? Feel the power of devil inside.
Listening to Royce Live Worldwide Podcast.
Hey, my name is Davis and I'm from Haiti, but I live in Dominican Republic. I'm here, Positive Power 21, Jerry Royce Live Worldwide.
That's right, you tell them, little buddy. What's up, family? What's up? What's up? Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Hope everybody had a great day. Spend some time by yourself or with your loved ones. It doesn't matter. As long as you feel the love from God, that's the main thing. All right? Tonight, we got Kimmie Kim on late night. That's right, from Elation Radio from St. Louis. She's here to join us. We also have a special guest. That's right, we had a chance to listen to this young lady interviewing a television show called Off the Push with TV media host Bree Smith. You guys got to check that out. You can check that out on the Weekend channel coming out of Maryland and D.C. That's right, y'all. Big network coming. And you can't catch the television stuff yet, but you can catch some of the episodes on Facebook. Coming to Roku, Apple, and Amazon. All right. We're so excited about that. But meanwhile, we do have Nedra Brown here. I believe Nedra is also a founder and CEO of her own cosmetic company, as well as an author and a writer consultant. So she does a little bit of everything. And if you need some help with your psyche, she can help you there too. So she's here to talk about all that. But meanwhile, let me say hi to Kimmie before I shut my mic down and let the ladies talk. Happy Valentine's Day, Kimmie Kim. How you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
Awesome. Had a nice quiet day. Yeah, how about you? You chill out?
I'm having a good, quiet day, and it's a good day in the neighborhood, and I'm grateful to be on, and right. Thank you so much for having me.
That's right, live radio. Man, what is the temperature like in St. Louis right now? We were down at I think 19 this morning. Maybe been colder than that.
Oh, we've been having that. We had negative number over the weekend with the wind chill.
Oh, man. And even on our nice day, we had 61-degree temperatures over the weekend, and it was still kind of breezy because I had my wife's car detail. That was like my little special gift for her because she always keep her car a mess. And not to put all her business out there, but she was so happy to have a nice, newly clean, like a new clean. You know how you get that new clean? It's not just like they just wash it and vacuum it. They just, they make it smell all nice and, get all of the dust out of the vents and stuff. So she was happy. I said, it's like a new car, right? She said, yeah, right.
Exactly.
Yeah, when she turned the engine on, it started smelling like smoke. It's a different story. But anyway, I can put all her business out there about her car. I ain't gonna talk about her car. But anyway,
so how was the weekend?
My team finally had a winner. The Rams. They came through. The Rams came through. You was rooting for the Bengals? That's right. I forgot you. I hate LA because they're not in your conference.
I like how they left St. Louis. So yeah.
Yeah, they show some love for the home. Yeah, they the home team. They're not the home team for the Super Bowl, but that's their stadium. But you have to show some love for them, man. I think they were deserving of it because that guy Aaron Donald, he's the best.
Well, they were playing in LA. That was their home team.
No, but according to the Super Bowl, it's not. They weren't because last year the NFC was the home team. So this year the AFC was the home team, even though it was being played at their stadium. Right? I see what you're saying. That's how. I know it's crazy, but that's how they do it with their rules. But anyway, it was great that brand new stadium. I think they spent like $5 billion on it. Took 4 years to build it, and everybody had a great time. Yeah, Snoop Dogg did his thing.
It's big.
Snoop Dogg, yeah. Great concert. It was good to see old school, rock the mic, Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All the young people enjoying the Super Bowl. And, it was a lot of history was made during this game. This was the first time, legalized gambling for the NFL, had this first Super Bowl. That was the first. So that's history. And it had a lot of new advertisers. They went over the top. Especially with all those cars, man. Who can afford those cars these days, man? Them things probably starting at $45,000. So, You know,
absolutely.
And you got majority middle class people watching. They probably was offended. It's like, do you got one smaller? You got one half that size with half the batteries? Yeah, I mean, you saw Arnold Schwarzenegger. That was a nice video. The one with the BMW. I really like that. That was my favorite one. He played Zeus. So I guess you missed that one. You probably was on Clubhouse because I saw you.
Okay, no, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, I know you didn't see it. But anyway, that was one of my favorites. You can go to YouTube and in case you missed it. But they had some good ones. A lot of crypto, a lot of stuff on online betting and all that. And what people don't know about the betting, you just don't have to. You don't have to vote. You don't have to bet on just the winning teams. You could bet on small things like who's going to catch the next pass, who's going to score a touchdown, or whatever, stuff like that. Who's going to get the next sack? So they have any kind of, all kinds of ways you can bet. So it's supposed to be for the experience, just to have fun, not to try to make a living out of it, y'all. Just keep that in mind. So anyway,
absolutely, it
was a great game, and it was close. It was no blowout, and I think everybody was glued to the screen. So with all that said, and shout out to my wife. She had to go away for the weekend. The Deltas got together, lines and all that stuff out in Hampton, and she came back and quarantined herself and followed the rules. I said, yeah, go get tested.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So our Valentine has been from a distance so far. That's where it's been. So, I know. That's all right. It'll be okay. It's just her and I
exactly.
here. We empty nesters right now. So doesn't matter. Aww, just one day.
That's so cute.
Well, you ready to talk to your guest tonight? This lady is so well-rounded, beautiful young lady, well-spoken. She has a bunch of college degrees, writer. She can help people who want to write, and I think I think this is her third book, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty deep book too. Supposed to be first of this kind for her, this style. So she's here to talk all about it. And I believe Kimmie, she owns a cosmetic company, if I'm not mistaken. That's what I think. I think I saw that on her page. So you can check it out. All right. So you ready?
I sure can. I am.
She is ready. All right.
Yeah.
What's up, Nedra Brown? Welcome to Late Night Radio.
Hey, dog.
Yeah. What's up? You had your coffee? You had your coffee?
I had a soda with some caffeine, so it woke me up. I'm not really a coffee drinker, and I've been staying away from the soda, but I knew once I cracked open the ginger ale, I'd be alert.
All right. She's ready, Kimmie. She's ready for you. Well, look.
Hey, man, let's do it.
Yeah, man.
I am so honored to have you. I understand that 9 o'clock is hard at times, but I'm just grateful that you stayed up so we can have a fellowship-y time.
That's right.
How are you doing today?
Right.
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I can't complain. And Jerry, I thank you so much for this opportunity once again.
You're welcome. Have a great show, ladies.
You too. Well, thank you so much once again for opportunity to fellowship with you. And I just want to thank you for your time. And I read so much about you on your bio. I'm very impressed. So with that being said, can you tell the listeners who is Sister Brown?
Okay. Well, my name is Nedra Brown, everyone, and I am a mom of 3. I am a writer. Yes, I have a 16-year-old, I have a 13-year-old, and I have a 5-year-old.
Wow.
Although I'm a mom of 3,
all girls?
It feels like I'm a mom of 23. They keep me busy. So
are they girls?
No, so the 16-year-old's a girl, and the 5-year-old, and then the 13-year-old's a boy. And the 5-year-old and the 16-year-old, I don't know what I'm gonna do. They can be a handful.
Oh wow! Oh wow! Wow! You're amazing. Okay, continue on. I was just impressed with that. You have 3. Go ahead. I'm like, wow. Okay.
3 of them. And like you said, I'm in school right now. I'm about to be graduating in a few months with my bachelor's and a bachelor's of science in psychology, and I'll be moving into my master's. But the long-term goal is to get a PhD in developmental psychology. I have my own caregiving business that I'm kind of branching out and trying to expand right now. I also have a cosmetics line, but I've been kind of slowing down with that because it's just a lot of moving pieces right now. And the main thing that I do right now is just kind of school, my caregiving business, and the writing. And so the Baltimore Imprint is my third project, and it's supposed to be kind of like a 3-part project. So the Baltimore Imprint will be part 1, basically, in the series. And I think that's pretty much about everything.
You are doing a lot. How do you make time for yourself? You have 3 beautiful children. You're getting your doctorate in psychology. You have your own home care business and cosmetics. Oh, my goodness. And you're writing. How do you make time for yourself?
Really, time for myself mostly just consists of kind of like being at home. I've always been like a homebody. Every once in a while I might go like to the spa or something like that. But for the most part, I really just like to be in the house. That's always kind of been how I am. I do plan on kind of having some more me time for myself after graduation. I want to do a little bit more traveling with my kids and by myself and kind of just celebrating and getting that time in that I feel like I kind of missed a lot with all the different things that I'm juggling. But for the most part, me time just consists of like being at home, having my quiet time, and just kind of, reading a book or writing or resting. But it can be a challenge. But
keep up the good work. I'm very impressed. And why psychology?
I think I've always kind of been like a very intuitive person. Like even as a child, I was always very observant. I always kind of paid attention to people's behavior patterns, mannerisms, and different things like that. And then as I got older, it kind of just heightened a little bit. And then I kind of got more interested in like cognitive processes and just why people tick, why they do the things they do. And then after going through certain things, kind of like the trauma side of my life and going through certain issues, it kind of made me understand myself and the people around me. And then I just started to feel like, I feel like I could potentially help people given the things that I've gone through. And then I just kind of, I battled with the idea of it for some years. And then in about 2013, I decided to apply to school. And I started out, it's kind of like a rocky road. I ended up flunking out because I was pregnant and ill at the time. And I ended up being put on academic probation. And it was just a hot mess. And then I came back to it a few years ago, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to take it serious. I'm going to buckle down. And I ended up kind of transitioning from academic probation to honor student. And then I just realized, like, I can do it. And then I just kind of put the pedal to the metal, and so far it seems to be working. But for the most part, I really just want to help people, mainly people who have experienced trauma, just because I know how it is. And I think it's always better when you have somebody who has experienced it. And then, it's like I can kind of approach it from the intellectual standpoint as well as like the experience standpoint. So
awesome. Because, there are so many initiatives going out regarding mental health and taking care of that mind because, unfortunately, there are times when there is a mental concern and it's overlooked because maybe for one, they don't know, or for two, that, just take it to the Lord in prayer. But I'm still taught that God gave us common sense to get help when we need to get help. And I'm thankful that we're seeing more and more young people getting their degrees in psychology. Why do you think that the church overlooked mental health back in the days? Not now, because it's becoming more and more attentive. I would like to know your input on why do you think they may overlook it?
I think it was a lack of understanding, in my opinion. I do feel like, like you said, we're always taught, like, you got to give it to God, and God does all things. And I do feel like, God can oversee anything and change anything. But at the same time, God created doctors. God created psychologists. God created this information. And I think, especially in the Black community, it's been so much taboo around the idea. And I think a lot of times people avoided it because it's like, we hear the word crazy tied to mental health a lot. And if you have certain issues or illnesses, and I think people just didn't want to touch it because if I touch it and something is wrong, then what do I do? Then how do you receive me? So I think it's easier to just kind of, hold on to like, okay, I'm going to trust the hand of God and God got this. when at the same time God gives you deliverance through the people who he has given the knowledge to. But in the Black community, we've kind of always kind of shunned that away. And that's why I do think it's good that we have this new kind of age that's kind of coming about, and people are transitioning. They see, like, you know, God got me, but at the same time, this therapist can help me too, you know. So I do think it was just ignorance, you know, ignorance and fear is what I'll say.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for that, because, you know, the taboo is coming down, and Satan is disappointed because he wants us to, you know, overlook the fact that we do need, you know, I really believe that each year you should also get a mental and a physical examination. And so that way you can stay impactful. So I see a lot of companies including that in the healthcare benefit package, and it's covered by, you know, medical insurance. So I'm grateful to see more come. And I'm also grateful to see more young people, you know, because back then when I was your age as a student, psychology, they just thought that was just an easy cop-out to get a degree, but psychology is like powerful. It talks a lot. When you really study the area and the field in psychology, you learn so much about the mind. And so with that being said, then it led you to writing. Has writing always been part of you, or did it come from journalizing, or was it something you always wanted to do as a young, you know, teen, or was that one of your I want to be, or did it just come about writing? Because some people write, you know, based on what they went through, and then they end up liking it because it's another way to become creative and, you know, escape your, you know, whatever you're going through, whether it's trauma or, you know, a bad situation.
I think for me, it was a little bit of both. When I was younger, I think the writing kind of started after the trauma, and it was escape, but it wasn't really, I didn't start with stories at first. I started with music. I would write songs, then I would write raps. Then I would write poetry sometimes. I would, girl.
Hey, girl. You always play rap music, author. That's a good thing. That means you're very diverse. Psychology.
I would do the most, and then I kind of strayed away from the music kind of stuff that I would write, poetry. I don't know. I think I kind of just go
and write that music. I tell you, I said, God, I want to write one song before you bring me home. So go write that song, girl. Ain't nothing wrong with music. I mean, because if you look at it, poetry is it comes from, well, music comes from poetry. It's just you put the tracks together. And, yeah, that's all it is. Especially rap music. It's just poetry from a different angle.
I just knew I wanted to be a rapper. I did. I remember it's so funny because my best friend at the time in high school, she dated a guy, and he was like kind of into rap. So I had this little notebook, and I would write my little lyrics, and she would always take it and like show it to me, like, look, read this, and, you know, try to put me on in that way. But I did that for a while, and I kind of gravitated to like story writing, but it would always be like really short stories, nothing more than like 2 pages, 3 pages long. And then I just kind of, I stopped, and then I just kind of picked it back up later, and then I stopped again. And I kind of stopped, I want to say about 2012, 2013, and I never really did anything. I would like write journal entries about different stuff, but it was kind of like I stopped there. And then a few years ago, I just decided to try to really make it something, because I always had this idea, like, I literally was like, you know, I want to do what Stephen King did. Like, I always looked up to him. I always loved him and R.L. Stein, and I always noticed how, like, the supernatural books and all these, like, books that we grew up reading, like the fantasy books with, you know, the Harry Potters, Narnia, James and the Giant Peach, all this stuff, it's like there's no African-American characters. And I would always sit up and think, like, wonder why that is. Like, why aren't there any black books like this? And so I would always tell myself, like, one day I'm going to do that. And I just never did it. And then eventually I kind of started pondering over it. a little bit more, and I just kind of studied, like, what they did, and I noticed, like, even when I would read the R.L. Stein books, because my father kind of my aunt introduced me to the library when I was younger, and I never knew that the public library existed. And one weekend my dad came to get me, and I stayed, and she took me to the library, and she's like, go get some books. And I go, and I'm like, I can pick out any book I want, and I can take it home, and I can get more. And I just thought that was just the craziest thing. And so I
know, right?
Yeah, I was so excited. I'm like, I can't believe this. I don't have to pay anything. And so I went, and I remember I got all these Goosebump books. I got like about 3 or 4. And I remember going back to my grandmother's house with my father. And my grandmother is very religious, and she's religious in a way that sometimes it can be kind of deemed like a little extra sometimes. And I remember she came home from work, and she saw me sitting down in the chair with my little blanket, reading my book, minding my business. And she just started fussing, and she's like, get these books out of here, and she shouldn't be reading that. That's nothing but the devil and all of this kind of stuff. And so my heart was just broken. I'm like, I got to sneak and read my books. I can't read my books. And so I remember after I went back home, I got like so many different books in the R.L. Stein collection, and I just kept looking at what he did, and I would read through it, and it just seemed like such an easy read. It was so simple. And I remember just studying and thinking, like, they did this, I can do this. Like, it's not even like, I was obsessed with it, but even going through the text and studying it, it didn't seem like it was really loaded, or really hard to do. And I knew I wanted to do it, so I would start with little short stories, and then I kind of just stopped. And then one day I had this idea that came to me about a series, and I said, I'm going to try to do it, and we'll see what happens. And then one book turned into 2, and 2 turned into 3, and it's like right now on my laptop I have like 7 novels started on my laptop, and I kind of alternate. And I know everybody has different styles. Like R.L. Stein says that he doesn't believe that you should, write multiple books at once, but he's not authors who do that. He kind of thinks that you should focus on one at a time. But it's like I've tried that, and it's like I'll be over here in this space, and then something will come to me about another one, then I'm working on that. But I do know, like, it doesn't happen overnight, but I just feel like if I keep, going at it and producing, when these ideas come in my brain, eventually, I'll get to where I want to be. But when I did the first book, I was low-key so psyched out, because I was like, I produced it in a horrible time in my life, and I didn't really think I would be able to finish it. And it was kind of like every time I got a good traction, things would be happening in my relationship with my husband, and it was just like, I'm never going to get this book done. And then I got it done, and it wasn't what I wanted it to be. It didn't turn out what I wanted it to be, but it was like looking through each chapter, I kind of would read the chapter, and it was good, but it wasn't as good as it could be. And I felt like, okay, I remember what was happening this day when I wrote this, or I remember this event. So I kind of just chalked it up to like just showing myself some grace and just saying, God, thank you for allowing me to do this despite A, B, and C, despite this happening and that happening. And then, once I kind of cleared my path and got rid of certain toxins in my life, it just kind of became easier. And it's like I don't even know how to explain it, because I remember when I used to write, it didn't come that easy to me. I would have to really sit and think. But it's like I can pull my laptop out right now, and the words will just flow, it's like I don't even have to think.
Wow, it's a natural thing for you. That's what it sounds like. Wow. And now you're a writer. Are you going to utilize some of your writing in your counseling sessions, or how would you combine the two?
My goal is, like, I really want to be in research journals. Like, that's something I want to do. I want to do research-based publications as well, but I would like to, get some stuff published that's, like, research-based, where I'm incorporating science and, like, real case studies that I've conducted myself. That's, like, the goal, the dream, But first I got to get that dissertation down pat, but...
you got this, girl. You got this. And so, okay, now I want to go into the cosmetics. And I hear that you have a cosmetics line. Now, how do you even have time for all of this? Tell me about that.
So I've slowed down on that a little bit. I was going really strong with that for about 2 years. But as my courses started to get heavier and things started to get heavier, I realized I had to kind of slow down. And so that was kind of like the sacrifice. That was what kind of made me be able to write these books, because I make all the products by hand, and I'm doing all the measurements, doing all the compounding. It's just like, it's a lot of work, so I mostly create stuff when I'm doing vendors events, but I haven't really been doing any events or doing anything with it. I recently just took my website down a few weeks ago, because it's one of those things where when you get requests or people hit you up, even though you don't have the time, you want to make the time. And I just realized, I can't keep running around like a chicken with my head cut off. I have to have some structure, even in the things that I want or that I see for myself. And so I just felt like, let me put this on the back burner for now, because I can always come back to it. Whereas the other things that I'm doing kind of are correlational. They flow easier. So
right.
I kind of
they go with each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
well,
just one of those
it's okay.
Things, Yeah.
It's just for right now. Like I tell people, it's just It's more so like a wait, because you never know. You may have an investor that says, what if we have the equipment for your product, and I'd be willing to invest. So you never know.
Yeah, speak it into existence for me. I would love that. But I do think when I come back to it, I don't want to be making everything. I also have been doing research, and it's kind of one of those things, like, when I come back to it, I have an idea of how I want to do it, and I just feel that making everything by hand is a little bit more strenuous, so it may become one of those things like a private label kind of thing. But it is something that I do enjoy, so I do want to come back to it. But I just think for right now, I just kind of got to put it on the back burner.
Okay. And you mentioned so many authors that you look up to. Which author did you take most of the wisdom or the quotes from as your, daily life? You know how sometimes so-and-so said this and so-and-so say this. Which author that you tend to follow, you use a lot of their quotes from? And what is your favorite quote?
Well, one of my favorite quotes, I know everyone knows this, but when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. But I love Maya Angelou. I feel that she's such a strong.
Why you to go with Maya Angelou? That's mine. I'm just kidding.
That is when I tell you
I love her.
It's so funny because I had a teacher, English teacher, and she hated my mom. They had like a rivalry back in the day in school, and so she would be so rude to me sometimes, but I thought she was a great teacher, and she was my first Black English teacher, so I really liked her despite, her feelings towards my mother. But I remember she had the class read I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, and after I read that book, I read it like a million times after that. But she was the first person to introduce me to Maya Angelou, and just hearing her story, and just the strength behind her words and just her mind. She's always been somebody that's just really intriguing to me. And I just feel like she's just phenomenal, to say the least. But I love her. She's really somebody that I look up to. And I just love the wordplay, and just the thought process behind it, and just how, you can read something and it's it touches you no matter what. And I've always just loved her. So she's one of my favorites.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. I love her because, she taught us that it's okay to have your thighs and your lips and your hair, because we are a phenomenal woman. That's neat. And, that.
And I think that a lot of times people don't know. Beauty is just universal, and that's the thing. I am a wig queen. I love my natural hair. It's so thick and it's long. It's a lot to work with, so I have to take time and be patient with it. But I do know, she is definitely somebody that kind of talked about just, loving your natural essence. And, we live in a world where everybody's getting these surgeries, the BBLs and it's so many women are trying to look the polar opposite of themselves, and I just feel like she's
I know. Have you seen that too?
Yes, it's a hot mess. Nobody is happy with what God gave them. So I do think, there's nothing wrong with wanting to look your best, but I do think that, there's always
don't
beauty
change
in the
the look,
natural essence
right?
of who you are. Yeah, it's like
Exactly.
it's okay to wear your weave if you want to here and there, or your wigs or your makeup or whatever, but it's like you should be able to strip away those things and look in the mirror or go out in public and it's like, this is me, this is my hair, this is my face. And I think a lot of times women are just not willing to do that, or we just live in a society where it's like the natural beauty gets overlooked because everybody wants this processed image of a woman. And so we have all these women that are naturally beautiful running out here to do all this stuff to themselves, and then they end up coming out looking like, Joan Rivers and Michael Jackson, and just totally different because they don't value what God gave them, So
yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I remember I used to love Lil' Kim, and now I see her, I'm like, wow, she was so gorgeous back then. And now I did not recognize her, and I think she did a performance at one of the award shows. I didn't know who that was. I was like, are you serious? So you're right. I really believe that one thing I do like about Maya Angelou is that she taught us that it's okay to be beautiful, no matter what shade, no matter what your background, your race is. Be beautiful. So thank you so much for that. And with that being said, what are some of the things you enjoy doing when you are not working, studying? What do you do for fun? Because you do a lot. I know you say you go to the spa. Okay, movies.
I love to watch movies. I'm really a big movie person, a big TV person, so I love to do that. I love to travel. I haven't really gotten to go anywhere. Like, my last trip was about 2 years ago. I had a trip planned to Aruba a few weeks back, about a month back, but all of my travel partners ended up getting COVID, so I didn't get to go on the trip. So that was kind of unfortunate, but I do plan on going in August, and that'll be like my graduation trip to myself, and it'll be my first time traveling out of the country by myself, so it's going to be like a solo trip. But for the most part, I'm just really like a homebody. Like, I love to just sit at home and be in the comfort of my own home. I like to watch TV, read books, listen to music. I'm not really like a out and about kind of person. And if I do go out, it's like I like to go out maybe to like a nice restaurant or go shopping with my kids or just doing little stuff with my children. I don't really do much. It's just, I don't know, I've always kind of been like that. So my idea of fun is just quiet time at home, so.
That's awesome. And with that being said, what are some of the titles of your book, and where can people find them? Because listeners want to know now, you're doing research, you want to do a Black version of Harry Potter. I'm like, wow, you want to do research studies in a book format? Like, girl, I'm looking forward to this.
No, I hope it all works out. But my first book, The Diary of Janae Wilkerson, it's located on Amazon. It's at the Nubian bookstore in Atlanta, Malik's Books in California. I can't think of the other store right now. What is it? It's so I feel so bad. I can't even think of the store name. It's in Texas.
Okay.
It's something creative. Wow. It'll come to me. My brain is fried. And my other two books, so the Baltimore Imprint and Illuminous, will both be coming out around the same time. So Illuminous will be ready in probably about 2 weeks. It's still in the editing process right now, but the first couple of chapters have been completely edited. So that will be on Ingram and Sparks online. It'll be on my website at rightnowgirl.com, and it'll be on Target online store, Barnes & Noble's online, and Walmart. And then in a few weeks after, it'll be in the Barnes & Noble's in Charlottesville. And I'm trying to get it in the one in Atlanta. So it'll be in a few other stores that I've already partnered with for my first book. And then the Baltimore Imprint will be located in those same places. So both books will be out in about 2 weeks because they both are going through the editing process right now. So, and all books can be found on my website.
On your website. And can you give me your website?
Yes. So my website is www.rightnowgirl.com.
I like that. Rightnowgirl.com. Now, what made you come up with that? You know I was going to ask you that.
I don't know.
Right now,
just kind of wordplay. I was trying to think of something. I couldn't really think. But I was like, well, maybe Right Now Girl. I thought it was cute, and so I did.
That is cute, and you can't forget that. Rightnowgirl.com. Right now, when? Right now, girl.
Something short and sweet.
You're cool, and so like you're doing so much. You're a mom. I think you said you're a wife too, and you're.
I am divorced.
Oh, you're divorced. Okay. Well, you're a mom, and you're a student, you're an author, you're an entrepreneur. You're doing so many wonderful things. What kind of legacy would you like to leave behind?
To be honest, I want to leave behind just a legacy of just resilience and triumph. Like, I want my children, my grandchildren, and so on. Like, I want to leave behind a legacy of progress and abundance. That's really what I want. But I want my just future generations to be able to look back and say, my grandmother, great-grandmother, whatever I am to them, like, you know, she went through all these hard things, and she literally got it out of the mud, and she set these goals that at the time may have felt like they were a lot, but she was able to do them. And I just want to be like just a catalyst for example in my family. You know, I want to change what I come from by changing it personally, and by being able to be just a staple for everybody to look back and say, you know what, if she did it, I can do it. And I've been doing that with my children. I hope I'm able to do that with my grandchildren, my grandchildren's children. I just want to leave behind a legacy where it's like everybody in my family knows my story, they know my name, they know the results, and they try to follow that path for whatever their gift is, whatever their goal is. And that's literally it's just one of those things where it's like I'm doing it for my kids, but I'm doing it for future lineages. Like, I know what I come from, I know what I've been through, and it's like I just want to change that all across the board. And a lot of times it starts literally with one person, and so I just want to be that person for my family.
And you are, girl. I love that Harriet in you. Girl, you're amazing. So with that being said, once again, can you give out your contact information if someone would like to book you, or they would like to say, you know what, you really inspire me to become an author. How do I become one? You know, you have a lot of gifts to bring to people. So how can they reach out to you? I know it's the website.
They can go to my website. Yeah, they can go to my website, or they can reach out to me on Facebook. And on Facebook, it's just my name, Nedra Brown. Or they can contact me via Instagram, and it's at I am Nedra Shante. And again, you can also email me at my regular email, which is NedraB, so NedraB25@gmail.com.
Awesome. And you're just so amazing and so positive. You have a beautiful spirit, and I wish you nothing but great blessings. And with that being said, Jerry, do you have anything else to say? She's amazing, young, and doing all of these wonderful works. I mean, wow. One thing I can say is that your hand will definitely be tired when God calls you home, because you're staying busy, and that's a beautiful thing. But you know what to say no to, because she just told me I have to say no to this right now. So that's a good thing. You know, just saying yes, 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 and no, no. That's beautiful.
Amen.
So, Jerry, you have anything else you want to add in?
One thing I'd like to say, if you're looking for her website, is Right Now, the word right, WRITE, Right Now. Like
okay, yeah. Right Now, okay. I still like that. Isn't that like unique? I'm like, oh wow, Right Now, girl. Okay.
Oh yeah, and
Jerry knows too.
Yeah, and Nedra, when I was on your website, yeah, I met Nedra on Zoom. That's the closest I can get to people these days. It's on Zoom. But she very powerful young lady. But Nedra, I wanted to you share with people that you took a different turn when you did the book. What was it called? Baltimore
Imprint.
Yeah, you took a different turn with that book, and tell us why you decided, it was time to do that style of writing.
My story is kind of loaded, but when I was about 8, my mother and father divorced, and at the age of 8, she started dating this new guy, and for about 4 years, me and my brothers watched her be physically abused, and it was just redundant, it was hard, it was traumatic, and at about the age of 11, I was at home one day by myself, and I walked in on him beating her, and I stabbed him, and he almost died, and it was just a loaded situation. And I ended up suffering from trauma. I developed OCD from my trauma. I had to go to counseling, and it was all these different things. And I went to counseling for some time for it, and he ended up he didn't go to jail, but it was like a probation thing. They didn't charge me with anything. They charged it as self-defense for me defending my mother, basically. And I kind of got into a space where I was going through a lot of abuse with my husband, my ex-husband. And I was with him for about 7 years. We were married for almost 4 years. And I kind of started seeing how my mother's trauma became my trauma. And in turn, that trauma became my children's trauma. And I had allowed certain things that I never understood, never respected, never understood how she kind of went through certain things. And it was kind of like a generational curse that I unconsciously just walked into. And then after kind of escaping it and kind of walking into like a new lifestyle of abundance and growth and getting to where I wanted to be, I just felt like it was so many young women who go through these similar things, women that I know, women that I don't know, stories that I hear. And a lot of times women just don't feel like they can get out of it, or if they do, they won't be in a better place. It'll kind of be like a stagnant space. And so I just wanted to share my story to kind of show women that, you can blossom from some of the ugliest spaces in life. You just have to be willing to kind of do the footwork. And so I just sat down and I started writing the book, and it took me about almost 3 years. It's been like 2.5 years. And it was just one of those things where I kind of felt like, I can't let this be for nothing. It was a lot of huge things, a lot of huge hurdles I had to overcome, and I just wanted to share it so young women, especially women of color, could read it and say, this doesn't have to be my space. Or little girls that are going through things that are, they don't have any control over because their parents are kind of, at the forefront and have the control, can see this doesn't have to be my saving grace. I don't have to stay in a space. I can grow, I can blossom, I can be better than what I come from. And so I just wanted to share the story in hopes that somebody would read it and learn from it and, kind of learn earlier than what I did, because even though I had a lot of knowledge about things and I was very wise, it still took me 7 years to see that I was suffering from the same things that I had watched my mother go through. A lot of her kind of curses kind of befallen me and my children. And it, I never kind of felt like I was in an abusive relationship, because I always felt like, well, I'm not in an abusive relationship. I fight back. And not only do I fight back, when I fight, you going to know I was there. So
that's right.
It was kind of like a mental thing. And then I just realized, this isn't right. My children are feeling the same things that I felt, and I knew I had to get out of it. And a lot of times women don't get out of it. Or if they do, they go back into it with another partner, and it kind of becomes redundant. And so I just kind of felt like I wanted to share my story so people can know that you can escape it. It doesn't have to be the end-all, be-all, and you can escape it and move on to better spaces, but you have to be willing to do the footwork. And a lot of times when I was doing the footwork, that felt just as hard as sitting in the abuse. But I also knew that I had stayed in it so long. It was so many things I had to undo mentally. And just, it was one of those things. But I felt like sharing the story was just going to help people. I just felt like God kind of put it on my heart, write it, because it's going to help somebody. So
that's right.
I just kind of decided to.
Yeah, being in podcasting, I've been doing this for 8 years. I've heard so many of these stories, the same backstory, this everything, the generational curse.
Always the same.
Yeah, yeah. But a lot of them never walk away from it. Someone was still in it while they was talking to us on the podcast, but they still wanted to, get it out, to try to save somebody. So, and it's real too. We actually did a short film. We was working with Shalonda Williams. She had actually written a book, and we did a short film on domestic violence, and a little 20-minute short. Just her and her sister just, being dramatic, in their own character, because they watched their mom go through it. Neither one of them experienced it with their spouses, but they experienced it with their mom. So it was still in their, in their spirit. So they wanted to, share that story with the world. And in similar situation you were in, they had to defend their mom. So we appreciate you being transparent and being so brave to do that. So kudos to you, because some people wait till they're 70 years old to tell them stories, and gotta get it out there.
And that's powerful because, like you said, Jerry, it takes transparency, because I am also a survivor. So,
Amen.
So I'm just grateful that we're breaking that curse. It's okay to say something,
That's right.
Mm-hmm. It's okay to say something.
And there's help out there. That's right. There's help out there too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and this book your writing is considered to be a help book too. Put that in the help section. Yeah, put it in the help section of Amazon and those bookstores. So people out there looking for help, that's what they got on. They in the help section, not the the other sections. When they're not looking for entertainment. So kudos to you.
It's kind of like a self-help thing.
That's right.
Even when I was kind of getting out of it, I didn't receive counseling or therapy for everything. Like with my husband and everything, to after I had gotten out of it, and it was like a while, and I felt like I was healing, but I felt like it was still like some mental stuff that, needed to be kind of put to rest or just talked about. And it was things that I just didn't feel like vocalizing with people that I knew. But it was one of those things where it's like, even when you get counseling and stuff like that, a lot of the time the footwork is you. People think that therapy solves everything, but it's, when you go through abuse, it's literally like you have to step up and say, you know what, I'm going to do the work.
I'm not
a lot of times.
Yes, it's so traumatic too. It's like being in a war. Yeah, it's like being in a war 24/7. You go to sleep in it and you wake up in it. Like being on the front lines. Not knowing if you're going to make it the next day. So that's very traumatic, and I can imagine it can do something to your mental. Amen.
A lot of times, dysfunction is a safe space, even when it's terrible. You wake up and it's like when you leave it, it still feels like, well, I can just go back over here. It's terrible, but it's comfortable because I know it,
Yeah.
So I think I hope people read it so they can know, like, all those feelings are normal, and you still got to kind of push past that and just do what you got to do.
Right, get some help. Get some help. Even some of your clergy, if you can't afford it, because I know counseling, especially if you go through your insurance, can be pretty high, pretty expensive. So you check with your clergy, see if they have some groups going on in the church. Some of your larger mega churches, they have those programs in place. Reach out to your community church, and if they don't have it, maybe they know somebody that can help you. All right, ladies.
There are women's centers too.
That's right.
Women's centers in your area. There's always programs for women, especially women who have suffered from domestic violence. A lot of times, you can get counseling to you that's accessible and free, and you don't have to pay anything.
That's right. Cool. All right. So, before all that said, Kimmie, ready to pray us out? Time to close the show.
Sure. And before I pray us out, my sister, can you give us something to nugget on?
So anybody that's listening and any of that resonated with you, a lot of times we are in denial or we just choose to be naive. If you feel like anything that you heard me say resonated and you are in a space where you are uncomfortable, you're being violated verbally, physically, mentally, I hope after you listen to this, you reach out and get some help. Because it literally starts with that one step, and a lot of times that's the hardest step. But once you do it, you will eventually find resolve if you just keep up with the footwork and do what you have to do. So I hope that anybody that's going through an abusive situation right now will do that.
Amen.
Awesome.
Amen.
Well, let's go to the Father in prayer. Father God, thank you once again for this wonderful information. Continue on blessing my sister and all of the things that you have for her. Bless her household, her children, her generations. Keep her, protect her. Thank you for giving us opportunity to hear her stories. And I just want to continue on blessing, praying for my brother, Jerry Royce. Thank you so much for bringing Jerry into our lives. And he is just bringing down the radio, sharing so much wholesome information that is well needed. Continue to bless him and his household, and no COVID, and I already know everything is well because he is so amazing. And Father God, we thank you for your grace and your mercy, and we're going to continue on in love, and we make these wonderful prayers in your Son Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
You're amazing.
Amen. All right. Don't forget, people, our overseas listeners, go out to her website. It won't cost you a dime to check out her books. Be released in a few weeks, and check it out on your favorite digital retailer. All right. Before all that said, don't forget also, y'all, check us out on the Weekend Channel. That's right, the Weekend Channel on our Facebook page. We're streaming all these podcasts. You catch the Radio Hair Show, as well as Fire Gospel Experience with Ron E. Jefferson. And don't forget about Blue Flame. That's right, we're going to be airing Blue Flame on the Weekend Channel podcast. So check it out. And the TV network is coming to you soon. All right. We out of here. Peace and blessings.
Can you feel the power? Can you feel the power? Feel the power of Double XL.
You are listening to Jerry Royce Live Worldwide Podcast.
Hey, my name is Davis and I'm from Haiti, but I live in Dominican Republic. I'm here, Positive Power 21, Jerry Royce Live Worldwide.
All right, everybody. We want you to hang around. We got Mr. and Mrs. Devil Slab, brand new episode coming up at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. For those of you that didn't catch it, well, we didn't play it. We had to run an encore at 7 o'clock, but we hope you enjoyed that episode. That was one of my favorite episodes. But just check out our brand new episode coming up in 10 minutes. So hang tight. We shout out to everybody out there that's on the YouTube channel, the Weekend channel on YouTube. Appreciate you guys. And also for those of you listening to us on the podcast live. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. See you soon.
Beautiful people, my name is Popular the Generous, gospel artist from Lagos, Nigeria, Africa, and you're listening to the Jerry Royce Live Worldwide Podcast. I got my new single